Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to talk about a certain mechanic in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And talk about its progression in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And its evolution and how it's been used throughout the course of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s history to where nowadays it is a main staple and is used to make very broken combos. And that is token generation. Yes, tokens. This mechanic, this thing that for a long part of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, people thought would not be really used that well. We're going to be talking about the evolution of it, and just in general, looking back onto how it is used a lot nowadays to make powerful link boards, do link combos, and things of that nature. So, tokens. Where did it all begin, really? Well, some people may point out that Insect Queen was one of the first token generations in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But the real first card, I think that there's a general consensus, was used prominently in token generation was Scapegoats. Now, I think all of you guys out there should know what Scapegoat is. Flip it up, you get your three little Joey tokens, your four Joey tokens on the field. I love calling them Joey tokens to this day. And you would use them most of the time for defensive purposes in the early part of Yu-Gi-Oh's history when it came out of the Joey starter deck in 2003, which I recently talked about in the History of Yu-Gi-Oh series on the channel. But pretty much they were used for defensive purposes, kind of like you would a Mirror Force. Chunk blockers, I would call them. But you could combo them off with different cards, actually. For example, back in the day, if you flipped up in-phase Scapegoat, which is a common thing even today, but back in the day it was more so, in-phase Scapegoat, and equip a Scapegoat with the card United We Stand, which meant that the equipped monster gained 800 attack for each monster on your side of the field, you would get a very big, beefy Scapegoat onto the field and could have Scapegoat beat down. Yes, it was a fun combo that I used to use back in the day, and you still can play in Goat Control format and other formats out there, but Unite We Stand comboed with Scapegoat was pretty much the first use of tokens. Flash forward a couple years forward, you really see Scapegoat, which is really the first good token generation card in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, being paired up with the card Metamorphosis. Now, if you guys are familiar with Goat format, you should know what Metamorphosis is and how it comboed with Scapegoats. Scapegoats had multiple purposes come 2005 in Goat Control format, which is kind of interesting to think about. But it's so cool to look back on it to see that it went from just this basic mechanic of chunk blockers to now being a chunk blocker that I can use to bring a very powerful monster onto the field called Thousand Eyes Restrict. And you guys should all know, if you've played Goat Control in the past, how powerful Thousand Eyes Restrict is. It's a very powerful card in Goat Control and can change the momentum of a duel. And the fact that just with the 2-card combo you could bring it out into the field using Scapegoat with Metamorphosis was very, very deadly. So you really, during the GX era, that was the main way you used to saw Goat tokens or just token generation in general being used. During the 5Ds era, if we flash forward a little bit further, you saw tokens being used quite a bit, I would say, in things going for synchro plays because you could rank up the ladder. One of my favorite cards using token generation with this would be Doppler Warrior, which was a rare coming out of one of the 5D sets I remember. And Doppler Warrior, along with Synchro Quasar Dot decks and Synchro Heavy Spam decks, along with Level Eater, may he rest in peace, pretty much could combo off and make these huge, powerful boards. But you weren't seeing power plays with tokens. They were as you would in the GX era or the early Yu-Gi-Oh era. You were mainly seeing it in comboing off into more powerful monsters, more powerful plays. That's what tokens have always done. As you see, you're going to start to see that trend now as I'm talking. We had tokens making powerful monsters like Thousand Eyes, tokens making powerful synchro monsters using Doppler Warrior tokens or what have you. And then in the Zexor era, we kind of found this brick wall that happened where tokens, from what I remember really, were not used in the Zexor era nor in the Arc 5 era really. It was, quote unquote, I would say somewhat a dead mechanic. I mean, you had mare combos I remember people doing, and little cutesy little tokeny things here and there. Like during the 5Ds era, we used to use Dandelion. And the early Zexor era, you had Plant Synchro still being a deck, which used tokens a lot, using Dandelion to synchro up into more powerful cards and things of that nature, along with things like I said, Doppler Warrior. So tokens in the 5Ds era to go into synchro plays was very prominent. But come this, the early Zexor era, it was still prominent. But as the Zexor era progressed and we got into the Arc 5 era, token generation really wasn't a thing. Now, granted, there was an archetype that was built around tokens that came out during this time frame, which is an archetype more known for its boss monster than its archetype itself, and that is the Mega Phantom Beast, as you guys may remember. Now, Mega Phantom Beast was a cool archetype, I think, and still kind of a cool archetype I like playing around with from time to time, where pretty much you would use token generation to get your monster's effects off. Now, the main boss monster was used in one of the most powerful decks of all time, being Dragon Rulers, being Mega Phantom Beast Dragosack, which I think, for the most part, people can agree was the most abusive token generation in that respect, because you could pop a token, destroy a card with Mega Phantom Beast Dragosack. It was easy to go into because rank 7s, the Dragon Rulers were level 7, and it was a secret rare and a very sought-after card for rank 7 decks in the early part before it got its Mega 10 reprint. So, token generation, it was here and there, but it never seemed as prominent as it was in the early part of Yu-Gi-Oh!, I would say, to some extent. Now, let's fast forward a little bit now to the Vrains era we're in. And token generation and token combo plays are prevalent, but it still goes onto that same old basis that I mentioned earlier. Token generation, for the most part, becomes very abusive when you're using it to make bigger, more powerful monsters, aka Thousand Eyes Restrict in GOAT format, aka Shooting Quasar and other combo decks in the 5Ds era, and aka in the Vrains era, helping you go for Soja, Borlo Dragon, Firewall Dragon, and a half a dozen other good Link monsters out there in 2017 and 18 and going forward. So token generation has come a long way, but now I feel it's a much more prevalent thing than it has been since the 5Ds era, because for a couple of years in between, it really wasn't used or abused effectively or enough, I feel like. And now we actually use it enough. I remember before we actually knew the Vrains era, people were talking about how, oh, I wonder if, I wish they would make some tokens more useful in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It can be abused. And voila, a couple months later, we had the announcement of Vrains and Link monsters, and that tokens could be used to go into Link monsters. So tokens have come a long way in the course of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, from being a somewhat used mechanic to being a main staple mechanic in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! During some points in time, to now being actually very viable in making more powerful monsters in 2018, 2017, and going forward into the future. So those are my thoughts on tokens. It's amazing to look back at a certain mechanic and see the evolution of it. If you guys enjoy these videos, I may do one on tribute summoning and special summoning and things of that nature to talk about their evolutions throughout the game of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, which it's kind of cool to look back on these evolutions of certain mechanics throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history, actually. And me and my buddy came up with this idea of doing this because we were talking about how we really use tokens a lot nowadays through Scapegoat, or if people want to use it using the new Light Monster, using the Photon Sanctuary card perhaps, or people are trying to use it abusing Mare, or other combo ways out there. I'll say combo-licious ways. If you guys know who said that in GX, good for you. But pretty much that's the cool thing about it. The evolution of these mechanics in a certain game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We could talk about special summon, like how that's evolved from, it was a special mechanic, the special summon monsters for free, to it eventually becoming just something that every deck does nowadays. Quite amazing to see the evolution of certain mechanics in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! As time has gone on. Who knows? Maybe in the next era, coin flips and dice roll mechanics will become the new popular thing in the meta. You roll a dice. If you get evens, you get to special summon a monster from the extra deck. If you get odds, you don't. You take 1,000 life point damage. I don't know. Konami, who knows what Konami will do. But hope you guys enjoy this video. I had some fun doing it. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy this video. Like I said earlier, If you guys want me to do things on special summoning and tribute summoning and other mechanics, please leave a like down in the leave a like down in the video, and I'll take that into consideration while making those other videos. So I'll see you guys next time, and I want to apologize, guys. It's like 12 o'clock in the morning, and I'm making videos here at work before I leave to go home, because my home is not quiet, so I do apologize if I'm mumbling, stumbling, falling, tripping. See, I did it. Tripping over my words, because I'm very, very tired. I've been up since 6 a.m. in the morning, and it's 12 o'clock the next day. So, super tired. But I'll see you guys next time. Good luck dueling to all of you. Take care, everybody.